This conference will now be recorded.
So, thanks for joining today for the part 2 of interest discussion. The last week we have seen common questions in Salesforce. So how can you describe yourself? And there are some common questions you can expect in your interviews. Tell about yourself. Tell about your current project. Right? Reason for job change. You have any? Why do you prefer Salesforce? Why, right, compared to other? Why don't the other technologies? Some sort of questions you may get in your interview, right? So be prepared for yourself to face such questions. Then, right? So these are the things we have seen in the last week. Then, what type of questions we have seen? Some of the technical questions like what is Salesforce CRM, what is user license, what is editions, cloud computing services, and these two are very common questions: Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. And so,
Sir,
interview
can
point
you
of view,
talk
right?
little
What are
bit?
the products available in Salesforce?
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. Can you talk little bit loud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Audible? It's fine now.
Yes, sir. It is fine now.
Is this fine? Okay. Yeah. So these are the questions we have seen in the last week. I believe we also drafted answer for this. Yeah. So what is Salesforce CRM? Right. So we also drafted answer for this. It's a web-based CRM platform where user can log in using user password, and it provides a development environment. Right. It's tool-based and program-based development environment, and so the overall it helps an organization to manage interactions that an organization, the data about interaction, right, and activities that an organization can have with customers and prospects. So the contact information, contact details of customer, the products we sold to the customer, and inquiries, and the various activities that you take to follow the prospects, right? And how do you convert? How the tool, right? What are the activities you take in general to convert the lead, the inquiries as a customer? So then the activities like uh, setting up the meetings, reminders, email notifications. So the tool provides a lot of process that you can implement without less manual intervention. So you can automate it. So you can save time. You can automate most of these uh, activities that that an organization generally would require to run their business. So the tool provides all those activities to manage the customer and prospects. It's nothing but your CRM. Okay, the CRM can be integrated with other systems. So this is a kind of development environment, and this platform provides uh, API, application program interfaces. It's like a gateway to allow other systems to access Salesforce data, and Salesforce can share information with other systems. So to do that, it requires some gateway, right? An API, inbuilt APIs. So the, the platform provides an APIs to integrate with other systems, either declaratively or programmatically. You can integrate your Salesforce system. Okay, and most important thing, what is user license? User license basically decides the cost of the license, cost of now how much, uh, what is the cost of your invoice that that you are entitled to pay to Salesforce. Okay, that's decided by the how many number of license your pay license you are using, how many number of users are accessing the product. Okay, that depends upon which license are assigned to the user. Okay, and edition basically a bundle of features to meet a business need, right? It varies, depends upon the product. For a sales cloud, we have essential, professional, enterprise, unlimited. Okay, so unlimited is higher end edition. You'll have unlimited storage and unlimited features, support, right? So essential is very basic edition. You'll have less number, only account and contact objects are available. No opportunities, no leads. So right, to access leads and opportunity features, you have to upgrade to higher end license. Okay, higher end edition. So, right, what are cloud computing services? We have three types of service: infrastructure, platform, and software. The infrastructure is basically a virtual machines that you connect, that you access in internet using internet connection, right? And we have a platform, nothing but development environment you can access with internet connection, and the software, a developed application you can access. Right? These are the services can be rendered, can be provided by the company to their customer. These are services that you can access. In general, we have additional categories of services, but these are three basic uh, category we'll see service that we can access in using internet connection. Right? So now everything in cloud. So no on-premise. So on-premise has its own disadvantage. Like you need to upgrade, you need to maintain uh, this, the resource, right? You have to maintain the resource. Suppose I am managing all the, I'm managing the infrastructure. Then I need a space, I need a systems, and I need, right? I should have a team to troubleshoot the hardware failures, power supply, everything, right? So everything is under our maintenance. But in the case of on-premise, it means without cloud, right? In the cloud, the vendor will uh, provide the service. We pay for the service. It's going to be a subscription model, isn't it? So like a platform and software. And Sales Cloud is an application uh, where you will find all the features to manage the sales activities. Okay, so it has all the features, tables like lead, account, opportunities, contact. Okay, and it helps to, with help of all those features, the process automations, it helps an organization to sell their product, follow up with the inquiries, converting a customer, retain the existing customer with less effort, because we have a lot of features to automate certain things, right? So we have data in one place. It's centralized CRM application, right? And Service Cloud is again a similar application where you will have features related to support your existing customers, handling their issues, like a ticket handling system, isn't it? So you uh, create the log the issues raised by customer, and you assign to the right team, and I know the issue is not resolved within the defined time, then you escalate the escalate it to the next level, right? And you track the whatever the solution you provided to reuse the solution, right? And email notifications and various other process automations all together, the kind of an application called a Service Cloud. You follow this? And there are some of the products. What are the products available? So these are the what type of questions, right? So what is Aura component? Aura component is a functional unit of Lightning framework. So Aura is basically an open source framework developed by Salesforce, and so the components, it's a kind of Salesforce library, right? It provides HTML kind of tag. Similarly, the Aura components provides a lot of standard components using which you can develop Lightning application. So it's open source. Most of the components are, some of the components you can say are can be used for develop the Lightning application, right? And gradually, most of the components will also be compatible to use it in Lightning. So it's open source, and okay, I'm talking about framework. Sorry, it's a framework. The component is nothing but the tag which is used to add in any of the Lightning interfaces as a record page, as a home page, and application page. Okay, and flows is a kind of feature in process automation feature used to build screen elements, which means like a wizard. User enters data in one screen, click on next, goes to next screen, click on next, and finally I'm going to create a record in Salesforce automatically. So that process automation and screen with correcting the data, it's kind of a process you can implement using this feature. Okay, suppose a customer call a sales agent. The sales agent will have to uh, document the issues raised by customer and create a ticket in the Salesforce system. So that is an objective. Okay. So when so using these flows, we can sales you can implement certain we implement flows in the form of button. For example, a sales agent click on a button, then a screen will appear. That screen will have a questions. What is the issue? So then a sales agent will get the issue details from the customer and enter the data, and go to the next screen and get other email IDs and other details of customer for which product they raise the issues. Then finally the agent click on finish button. With the help of the details he collected in two screens, right? You'll be able to create the case record automatically. So process automation, collecting the data all together, we implement. We can able to standardize certain things, right? So without standardize, if the process is not standardized, then you cannot track the you cannot have you cannot expect a common process would be followed by every users in the organization, right? If the only the standards, only if the process is standardized, then you'll see uh, you'll get everything is to be properly managed. Suppose the process is not standardized, then you'll see there will be a flaw in the business data collection and tracking the business, right? So standardizing the process help of flows. So what are the trigger context variable? It is part of your development, right? It's a kind of what type of questions in the development perspective. So it's a variable defined by the system. Okay, system providing these type of variables to get the data of the record which uh, firing the trigger. So trigger is a kind of process automation, right? So something happens, then automatically you can run some logic in the database. Right? When you delete some data, then I would like to before a user trying to delete, then when the delete operation is initiated, then I would like to check something in the database. If that condition is met, then I'd like to trigger an error message saying like this cannot be deleted because it's already related to some other data. Like that, you can run some logic when some database operations like delete or insert or update happens. That is your trigger, isn't it? Okay. So and how the system could get the informations of the record under deletion, that is using context variables, right? System will able to get the data informations about the record which are under database operations. It can be a delete operation or insert or update. Is that clear to you all? Able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Aura framework, it's a kind of right. We are given this definition. It's an open source framework. Okay. Okay. Why type of questions? Yeah. It is where we have end our session in the last week. So why type of questions? Why we are using workflows when you have a process builder? Basically, these two are process automation, right? These two are process automation feature. Okay. Okay. So why you are using workflows when you have process builder? The workflows is basically the old uh, the process automation feature, but still Salesforce is providing a support, but we don't have any upgrades happening in that feature, right? Because we already introduced process builder. Salesforce has introduced process builder uh, as part of Lightning interface, right? It's a part of Lightning interface process builder. So the workflows is a classic application, but still we we can use we can implement we can use it because a lot of customers already been implemented their process using workflows. But still, the process builder is a recommended one for any process automations like record creation, record update, email notification. There are many post to chatter automatically when condition is met. So a lot of 11 actions you can automate. Workflows only provides 4 actions uh, can be now you can automate. So those actions are nothing but email alert, assigning a task, updating a record in some objects when something is met, when condition is met, and there is one more action called outbound message. So outbound message is a kind of process automation we have in workflows. We can implement that without any coding effort, right? So what is outbound message? Outbound message is sending the data, right, information from Salesforce to external system. So to do this in process builder, right, we need to uh, write an Apex code. So when you have Apex code, then you need to write the test class to implement that, to deploy that Apex code into the production org, isn't it? But in the case of workflows, we have a process automation features action called outbound message, so which uh, doesn't require you to write any Apex code. It's a kind of a process automation available in workflows. Directly you can choose the systems where you would like to share information by following the declarative approach, and you can send information. So there is a kind of reason, one of the reason why you go for workflows and compared to process. But same actions can also be implemented in process builder tool, but we have to write Apex code, isn't it? Right? Why do you need a profile? So profile is, right, everyone, I hope you know what is profile. A profile is basically is a kind of template where you define the permissions for a user. Okay, suppose there is a user I'm going to add to access the Salesforce login. I'm going to add some user into my Salesforce R. Then what I do, I would create a user and assign the license. License will provide what are the features that can be accessible by user, right? So, but profile decides what are the permissions that user will have on that particular feature. For example, if I assign a Salesforce license to user, okay, then Salesforce license provides access to account table and the contact table. Okay, then profile decides whether user can insert a row into that object table or delete a row into the table. So what type of permissions the user will have, what type of application user will see. So those things will be determined by the an entity, a template called a profile. So how do you define the profile then? So profile contains set of access can say it contains set of permissions. Okay, so one profile can be assigned to more than one user, multiple users, isn't it? You can say it controls profile controls the access and the permissions for user, isn't it? Permissions includes the object permission, application, which tab user can see, right? And whether the user can create the report, okay? Whether user can have access to setup menu and uh, password policies, isn't it? Etc. So everything will be controlled by the profile. So let's go back to the other questions. Why do you use account and contact object? So these are object is nothing but table in Salesforce, right? So we use objects to store the data, isn't it? So let's take the question and so why do you need an object? Why do you need account and contact object? So every organization, uh, I mean, an organization have a customer. The customer can belongs to a company, right? Suppose I'm the insurance company selling insurance to uh, an IT organization or any hospital, for example. Then hospital comes under a company, and the contacts, the employees of the that hospital will come under contact. Okay, so this basically account and contact is used to store the customer data. That's it. Okay, account and contact object. Right. Then what is the use of account? Store the company information, right? A customer company. The contact. That's right. Follow. Okay. So what is lead object? Lead is again before you before someone become your customer, they were actually a lead, right? Okay. So before someone became a customer, the customer was called lead. Before they became your customer, they called lead. right? So the question is, why do you use lead? So lead object will have no we can be used to store the details about uh, the person who has shown interest to your product, right? The person who has shown interest to your product, then what are the details you required to follow with that person? The name of the person, email, address, right? So all the details about that person, like a business card. So the lead object is required, for you to store all the details about a person who has shown interest. Okay, so it's used to. Okay, and but is that necessary to have a lead always? It's necessary only when you have more prospects, more inquiries, right? When you have more number of inquiries, then you need a something in place to uh, you know track thousands of inquiries, hundreds of inquiries, right? So when then you go for automation. I do have lead objects so that because I may have different status, right? Suppose I just received an 100 inquiries today, then every inquiries will have a different status, right? Someone uh, right will be available on the same day, someone available on the next week, okay, and everyone has a different availability. So then how can I track all those data? So we need something in place, right? So when there are more prospects, then you need automation, then you go for lead. If I have I could sell product to the customer with less follow up, and I do not have any follow up. I get the customer directly. Customer just come and buy the product. Okay, anyone can just come and buy the product. They become directly as a account and contact. I don't need any lead to track, to track the calls and to set up the meetings. I don't need. Then in that case, lead is not required, right? Lead is mandatory when you have considerable volume of prospects, and you don't have direct customer. So always you just have the strategy to follow up and market your product so that you get the prospects. Okay, then you follow up and then you become customer. Then lead is plays a major role. You will follow. Okay, lead is not mandatory, right? There are organizations, they don't require lead at all. Okay, they just get the customers directly. So lead is necessary in that case. But basically, why do you use lead? I hope you understand. Okay. Why are you using Lightning interface? The Lightning interface is okay. It's the kind of Lightning interface is an interface designed, okay, introduced. The interface is to access the Salesforce platform in any device. Okay, any type of device you can use to access Salesforce. You can log into the Salesforce in desktop or tab, any type of device you can use, isn't it? So it's a device compatible, any type of device independent interface. Your classic basically, you will access uh, in desktop. Okay, in mobile and tab, classic applications required you to scroll, and navigate. Takes more navigation. Okay, but in the case of mobile, right? In the case of, Lightning interface, it provides a lot of changes in navigations. That means we can just access the applications with the in the form of tab, and you will find every information in one page, isn't it? It's a single page application. Lightning interfaces basically provides a single page application, right? Like your process builder, where you have everything in one page, right? You can drag and drop and implement the process. Workflows basically a part of classic interface, where you have to move from one screen to another screen to implement that process, isn't it? So that's how the lightning. That's the reason the lightning interface has been introduced. Okay, to access the lightning platform in any device.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you. So what we had done in
Hmm.
classic course, it is going to apply in lightning interface also.
Yes, you if it is a uh, visual force based application, then you will see
Oh,
uh, you can without any JavaScript part in the application, you can able to access in Lightning as Lightning also. But if it has
oh,
a JavaScript, more JavaScript modules are there, then you have to convert. You need to do some changes uh, so that you can access in Lightning. But in other cases, if, application that you have in Lightning will also be available in Classic also. There are some differences in some cases we have.
some places it won't work, sir.
Okay, it won't work. So yeah,
Mm.
some part of the Classic will not available in Lightning. It's not available in Lightning, and Lightning, some features in Lightning is not available in Classic. So it's kind of differences are there. But
Mhm.
I could say like most of the things are accessible in that you have in Classic will also be available in Lightning. No changes
Thank
required.
you.
Only in the Visual Force based JavaScript based applications need some changes. So why do you need a trigger when there is an ability to submit Apex through process builder?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. The question is, why do you need a okay? So we have a trigger, right? Where you write a business logic that 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 module will execute automatically when when there is a database event occurred, any delete operation, insert or update. So whatever event you uh, given on that particular trigger. Okay, so trigger will do many things, right? So and in Apex also, you can also fire the execute the Apex code. In the process builder also, you can execute some Apex code when there's some event occurs, right? Some process automation. So it's both are like Apex class only. Trigger you have Apex code, and Apex class also you write a business logic. So both the places you write business logic that can be executed automatically on DM and database. So right. So what is the key difference, right? When we have ability to implement using declaratively with a few uh, intervention in the coding part, then why should I implement the trigger? Because trigger requires testing, and of course Apex also requires testing, but trigger requires some more skill, no, compared to writing the class, right? So the reason the trigger will be fired, trigger can be executed Okay, executed for before and after database event, isn't it? So it's not only after. So before and after database event. Trigger can be executed for before after database event, which means before insert, I can perform something. Right? When user initiated the insert operation, then before the record is committed to the database, I can execute that some business logic. Right? So and before user deletes something, I can execute some data process. Before the user trying to delete update something permanently into the database, I can perform some logic. If okay, then I allow the process to update. So that type of process before and after the database events, we go for trigger. Whereas the process builder would only execute, only fire the action, would fire the actions only for the after insert or update events, isn't it? So only it works for after and after events only. That events only where two events are allowed. Even it's only allowed for after, and even in the after, it's only you can only fire the actions automatically for insert and update operation. But in the case of trigger, the database events can be insert, update, delete, and delete. So these are the events. You can consider in your trigger, and that can also be before and after, isn't it? So trigger is more powerful, right? More powerful than your process builder. Okay, but there are some scenarios where you just can do it in process builder like without writing any additional code, without writing any Apex class. Now you can do many things in process builder like setting an email notification, updating a record automatically. Okay, inserting a record into any object and post chatter, quick actions, right? Keep documentations, custom notifications, assigning a task. Assign a task is something like creating a record, right? And approval, submitting the approval process, submitting another process, submitting the flows, submitting Apex code. So all these are the actions that you can implement in process builder without any coding effort, apart from submitting the Apex code, right? But all those actions will only fire in these two events after insert or update. But in the case of trigger, is can able to fire the can able to execute the code with any of these events, and that event can be a before or after. But in the case of undelete, only after undelete is available. Okay, before undelete cannot be done like this, right? What do you prefer, declarative solution? You are able to do better coding. Yeah. What is the use? Why you go for declarative solution? If you are a good developer, right? If you are a good developer, you can able to write a better code. Okay. Uh, in that case, why should I go for uh, a point and click approach? Right? Coding requires first thing. Coding requires a skill. Requires a skill developer. Okay. And the other reason, coding requires the modules, right? The modules like Apex and Trigger requires test class, test classes, no requires test classes. So it means you have to write again a test classes to right. It's a kind of automation, automated testing, right? So that requires you need to implement uh, migrate along with the actual class, so that only then the class can be deployed. Okay, it's like a test classes, right? And less maintenance. I mean, the declarative approach requires less maintenance. So the coding approach requires more maintenance. Requires skill developer and you need to write the test classes, right? And troubleshooting is also complex now when compared to declarative approach. So declarative approach exactly like creating a table, for example, with the schema builder, right? You drag and drop and create it. Process builder, right? You just with a few steps we can automate the process. So before process builder, uh, available, it was many things we have done with we did with using coding only. Right, inserting a record automatically. We have written code classes or triggers to do that. But now with the help of declarative action in the process builder, we can, so which doesn't require any skill, which doesn't require you to write any test classes. So every every solutions must be first uh, analyzed declarative uh, okay with to provide declarative solution. Okay, in hard cases, complex cases, which where declarative approach is not available, then we go for programmatical approach, isn't it? So you should be a good in declarative part of the platform, right? Like another end, other way you can say you should be good in admin, no, uh, before you write a code. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
So next question is why do you need flows? I think we already seen in what type of question also. Why do you need flows? The flows is used to build the screen element. The flow is a feature. Okay, so here to build the screen elements. In short, you can say like this. We already discussed much more detail about the flows. What type of questions, right? Okay, so what's next? Why it is so important to have version control, right? Version control tool, right? Um, suppose there is a program, right? There is a trigger, uh, required some changes. The developer do some changes on the trigger, and okay, and you get again a change request down the line for the same trigger. Then again, you do some changes on the trigger. So it right, it happens in business. The requirement get changed. Now the requirement get changed multiple times, and you modify and you do changes and incorporate all the changes into the same in the respective module. Then you cannot you again you cannot go back to the old version, isn't it? So something changes multiple times, and you cannot revoke your changes to get the okay. So if sometimes it's the the modified, the changed one is not working as expected, then you like to go back to the old version. So unless you have version control, you have copy of the tool of the module that you're working, you cannot get the you cannot refer back the history of the changes, right? History of the changes, and You cannot get back the old versions of that particular module, right? These are the reason, and there is a reason, like if there is multiple developers working on an application, then it's quite common, like a developer do some changes on one particular module, then other developer has by they do same similar different changes. I mean, do some changes on the same module, and it overridden the other user changes, other developer changes. So we override, right? So the recent one will be there, but there will be code conflict, where you'll see unexpected result because your changes have been overridden by other user changes, other developer changes. So unless you have a version control tool, you cannot track the versions of your changes. You cannot track. Okay, so version control is more important in order to track the changes and to avoid a code conflict. And anytime the application goes wrong, then you'll able to uh, you're able to get the old versions. Okay, with the help of version control. We'll follow this. It's very generic explanation about the version control, right? Why do you need version control? Okay. Start I put like this. Okay, why do you use JavaScript in Visual Force? The JavaScript is a kind of skill we require to we require now become a mandatory skill also, right? In the Salesforce ecosystem, isn't it? To work in as a Salesforce developer, now JavaScript also plays a major role uh, in the Lightning framework, isn't it? Even in the LWC, the JavaScript became a more modern JavaScript became play a major role in the LWC, right? So, but in general, what is the key reason now why we are using JavaScript in Visual Force in Classic? Okay, in Visual Force. So how do you introduce Visual Force within the JavaScript within the Visual? How do you introduce JavaScript in the Visual Force page? You'll have a script tag. In the script tag, you will within the script tag you can have your JavaScript code in the Visual Force page, right? And the reason, one of the main reason why you use JavaScript to do the client side validation, right? In the case of classic application without JavaScript, you know the validations, the database validation will occur on the server side. Okay, suppose I am submitting a form. User enters some data in the page and they submit the data, and it goes to the server. Then we have validation rule which will validate the data. Then we get the error message. Okay, that's server side validation. So when server side validation happens, then any data you just handle on the server through controller, then you'll have a get set. You should have a get set variables where the view state, the internal memory, right, will be will be managed by a system called the view state. View state is a kind of internal storage state of all the data that you are passing to the server and get the data from the server to client. So those data interaction, right? So when you pass data from client to server, server to client, the view state memory we'll have considerable view state memory, right? View state is a state of the data, what you what you transfer from client to server, server to client. So that storage, we have limitation. When there is more view state, then your page performance will be degraded, will go down, right? So so that you avoid a server side validation, and now by introducing JavaScript, you handle, you just validate the data in the client side without letting system to do the server side validation. So you avoid view state. Your application or now page performs better when you reduce the view state. So JavaScript helps you to do that, right? JavaScript basically helps you to introduce the uh, server side client side validation. It helps perform. So what else? What else? Like it helps to implement the asynchronous process also, right? So it helps to increase asynchronous process, like your JavaScript remote Ajax process. Okay, so uh, without writing a controller, without an apex, without a use state, right? Without a use state, without writing an apex code with the help of Ajax toolkit, you can perform a less volume of data, DML, query the database. Those things you can do it in Visual Force page itself without writing an Apex code, without writing any DML, without going for a controller, right? We can perform everything on the client side itself. Coupling the Visual Force page directly with the server, okay, without the controller, you can do it using JavaScript. Okay. With this, we'll close the session today. Okay, let me see how to continue the next week. In case it depends upon how many of you join. If you are interested, just let me know. I could continue the session next week with the differences and the syntax. Okay, then we'll have scenario. Is that session helpful to you? Any question you have? Okay, then. Thanks to all of you. We'll connect on next week to see the differences and syntax.